Hello. Hi, everyone, and
Hello.
welcome to the third panel of the Scale-Up Fair of France Digital. So we will give you today the best practices on diversity and inclusion and tips for candidates. I'm Judith. I'm the head of Talent Oh BiBi, a mobile video game studio. And to talk about this brilliant topic today, I'm very happy to welcome on this virtual stage and present our panel participants. So the first one is Albane. Albane is Chief People Officer at Back Market. I guess you all know Back Market. She's an expert in HR management in high growth and tech-oriented environments. And she's very passionate about creating and developing a strong, inclusive company culture. So she will give us a lot of very good tips. Also, welcome to Julie. So Julie is the HR and Recruitment Manager at Singulart. If you don't know Singulart is an online art gallery, European leader in the online art market, and it was created 4 years ago. Julie is in charge of recruiting about 100 people by 2021. Is that correct, Julie?
Yep.
And to manage all HR within the company. Welcome also to Pierre-Arnaud. So Pierre-Arnaud is a diversity and recruitment manager at Platformsh, which is an ID to cloud application platform that simplifies cloud infrastructures. In his job, he's trying to hire people around the world since they are spread in 35 countries, which is a lot. And he is also trying to create a very inclusive place to work. He also wants to reach out to women engineers who don't know they exist yet. And also welcome to Caroline Ramade, who launched 15 Tech with the desire to create the largest network of women in the digital world and to connect them to inclusive companies to achieve parity in tech. So Caroline will tell us more about 15 Tech during this webinar. Sorry?
No, I say hi.
Hi again. So it's not completely natural to talk about hypergrowth and diversity, to be completely honest. Caroline, can you maybe tell us why it is very important?
Yeah, I think a lot of startups fail when they came to become really a scale-up and hyper-growth company. Why? Because you need to manage. Because you are in a hurry, and this underrepresented people. This is a tiny pipeline, so you need to take time for that. But at the same time, you have the pressure to really hire like 100 people, such as Julie, and perhaps even more for Albane. And so I think the topic of today is really important because we have scale-up here who are really taking care to put that topic as a priority. But it's a good news because it's good for them. It's good for performance. We know that all study from McKinsey to even so performance in startup survey demonstrate the impact of diversity. If you want to be efficient on a market, you need to have diverse profile. And for example, just women is 52% of humanity. So if you have them in the team, it's a lot for your strategy and to be really efficient on your market. Of course, it's a social responsibility, but now it's key for your retention. A lot of talent and employees are asking for that. And for example, to give you these studies from first round, it was 2 years ago, but I think it was really a sign just before Black Lives Matter. I believe now it's even bigger. So it was 34% of the employees saying that they want perhaps to leave the company if the direction and the founder of the startups are not taking action, not talking, taking action.
A lot.
That's a lot. So we know that retention is key for everyone because it's super expensive. So it's really important. And you will see perhaps with Pierre-Arnaud that candidates are asking so. So you need to be prepared to this question. And it's not only to do like diversity washing. It doesn't work because when you attract the people, they will talk if you are not retaining them. So I believe this is something really that we need to put all as a priority. And sometimes it's a little bit painful because it's demanding a lot of effort, but then you will collect a lot of positive feedback. And I think a more inclusive company is also a lot of well-being. And so it's a future I'm in for tech. So that's why I'm really happy to participate to this panel.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Caroline. I completely agree with you on all what you said. So to be concrete, how do you make diversity an essential component of your scale-up's growth strategy? Like concretely, what actions have you been implementing? For instance, at Singulart, at Back Market, at Platform.sh. Julie, can you start maybe?
Yeah, I can start. For us, it starts the day one, because the founder at Singulart had a man and a woman, because we have Bruce and Vera. So the day one, they think about it, and they choose, because Singulart is on art and on international market. They decided to choose specific, the first language at Singulart, it's in English. So they chose to have more people, more nationality, because it's matched with the business. We are on art, so we have an open mind link to the business, in fact, because the art market, it's really an open mind. And because Vera and Bruce are the founder, they decided to take some action at the beginning. When there were only 20 people at Singulart, they decided to discuss about women and the salary of women, to create and to build really a perfect remuneration for everybody, and not only to say, okay, we will have some negotiation when you hire people, but we need to be transparent, even for women and for women, to kill one subject. And right now it's easy for me, in fact, because it's a part of the DNA at Singulart. My DNA is I have 65% of the women right now on the company. I have 24 nationality, and I have a company who enjoys that, who likes that. So when we hire a new manager who need to hire to build a team, they know they have to think about it day after day. And you kill some bias at the beginning when you have this company, it's a part of the DNA.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Albane?
Yes, I totally agree about what Julie was saying. So you need your leaders to be on board from day one on your on what you're doing, and especially as it's going to take more time, it's going to be harder, it's going to be more difficult to reach this part. It's great to have done it from the start. Unfortunately, all companies can't who didn't have this chance. I always start when we are asking what you do in terms of diversity inclusion at Back Market. I always start as saying that we are very bad at it, because there's still like a huge mountain to walk in to get better and better, and it's like a limitless effort. Like it's always, and it has to be constant, and it has to be agreed upon every leader that you have. So yeah, that's what we started with at Back Market, saying, okay, everyone, every leader, what do you think about diversity inclusion? What are the rules and the do's and don'ts and the behaviors that we want to see, and the ones that we don't want to see? And also, I think what is important is first to know where you want to go. You need to know where you start and where you are. And it sounds quite obvious, but in France, for example, it's really hard employers are legally prohibited from asking or having a record of ethnicity, of sexual orientation. So it's really hard to get where you are and to measure, you know, all the efforts that you make along the way. At Back Market, we find a little way to make to really measure that. For example, we've asked actually everyone in a survey what they think about Back Market in terms of an inclusive culture of diversity, and we also asked if they felt that they were part of a minority group, and that's how we had also this lecture, this picture of what do we have inside of our organization and where do we want to go.
Thank you, Alban. And at Platform.sh, Pierre-Arnaud, I think you guys defined a very ambitious KPIs on diversity as well.
Yeah, true. Well, as kind of like what Julie was saying, we started a few years back, as a distributed company. So it was 10 years ago, speaking English, even though we were French. And the founders back then decided on several goals, such as having, for example, 50% of women by 2026. And so while making sure that the company, would stay diverse and inclusive. So of course, it started that way because the company is spread out, but it's easy to, forget about it or become complacent, like as Alban was saying. So it's a constant ongoing effort. So they decided to be humble about it with the people upstream and the founders. Between the two of them, they decided to assign a budget to the DNYD initiative to hire someone dedicated to it. So I'm the first person for that. And then set up a few clear goals. For example, how to best onboard some junior teammates when you have so many season ones. For example, we have people with up to 30 years of experience, and actually a lot of them, so that's a little bit different. At most startups, how do you train everyone to be good at intercultural communication when you have people who, for example, have different notions of humor, what being on time means, how to apply agile methodologies. Everything can be a bit different, so we have to train them regarding that. And then one important question could also be, how do you hire people from underrepresented minorities? So do you hand them? What do you do to retain them and help them feel, included? And how do you let people know, for example, that we are actually one of the most parent-friendly companies, and so on and so forth. So this is what they've been working on for several years. I'm glad to be a part of the team. It's actually growing, so I can also see that they're really committed to the main goal.
Okay, so that's very interesting, and that leads me to my next question. How do you create like an inclusive culture? Maybe Pierre-Arnaud, you can start like answering that question. You just mentioned training, like you trained everyone, for instance.
Yeah. Well, it's a different set of stuff. So, for example, there's the training initiatives for all the hiring managers. So you have unbiased training, how to hire people. That's the first thing. Then how do you make people feel included, in daily routines? Do you have to have routines or not? Well, how do you make sure, even though people are in different time zones, that they feel like they can have, I would say, a flexible schedule, like for real. You have also things like roundtables. For example, last month we had one about burnout. We noticed that usually working remotely, juniors can have a tendency to overwork, to make up for the technical gap they have regarding the more seniors one. So we have to teach them about autonomy, how to balance their schedule, maintain a real work-life balance. So we give them stipends, for example, to go to the gym, to buy some books, to do something else than go to work. So we actually train them towards that. There's also roundtables about how to talk about minorities at work, LGBTQI+, for example, during Pride Month, things like that. So we try to start internal conversation with experts coming from outside, and they can ask questions freely for an hour. We have the training sessions for hiring managers and employees. And then we have I would say, playbooks and kits and slide decks we give them about small situations and how to deal with them. For example, when you have a new teammate that's transgender, which type of pronouns do you use? What do you do? We're distributed, so we don't have that problem. But what do you do regarding the bathroom policy, right? And all that jazz. So we try to make people think and sympathize with others. The goal is to develop empathy, to know that it's okay to reach out whenever you need for help, and that it's also okay to not know and ask to understand better. So this is the way we feel that people can become more included, whether you're from a minority or you're trying to be an ally. So this is the main thing, I would say.
Okay, and is it part like of the values of the company? Like diversity and inclusion?
Yes, it actually was from the start. We wanted to make sure, that whether you have a disability of some sort or you're in a remote village, but you're really engaged, that you feel that you can belong. And so we had to think of a way to make sure that whether you were in a tech hub or a remote village, you would feel the same. You would still be a platformer. So we had to be defined from the start.
Very interesting. Thank you, Pierre-Arnaud. And you, Albane, I believe that at Back Market, you implemented a lot of things also to create an inclusive culture. Can you tell us more about this?
Yes, so I really like what Pierre-Arnaud was saying, and actually I'm going to connect with you after that because we need to talk. Yes, there's what Pierre-Arnaud was saying about education. I think there's also a big part, and I call it, start with basics. So before you want to pimp your ride on diversity and inclusion, if your engine doesn't work, it's not going to work. And so it goes with a very basic but and boring thing, but it's policies. Policies that, for example, first declare completely openly, completely transparently the policies that protect the employees. So zero tolerance policy for discrimination, for harassment, and especially that protects the minority groups. Also the policies that you have internally that influence the development of your employees. So, for example, hiring, compensation, career development, promotion, all of that needs to be completely transparent, and needs to onboard everyone. So, if you're loosely doing, things that are on a case by case basis, your alarm bell in your head should be going off, and it's dangerous territory where biases can really unwittingly slip in. So at Back Market, we wanted to make sure that all our processes and all our HR policies were communicated, transparent, that we were trying to avoid most of the time exceptions or so on, and that everyone gets a chance, to get promoted, to have an increase, and the rules are clear. So at least if they are not happy with the compensation increase, the rules are completely open and clear for everyone. And of course, after there's the fun part. So the educate internally, as Pierre-Arnaud was saying, at Back Market, we train all our managers on diversity inclusion with Gloria, for example, who are really great at helping companies to improve on diversity and inclusion. And also, one of the most thing that I'm proud of at Back Market is the Anne Bonny's Club, which is the club for all women at Back Market, because we all know that since you join the workforce as a woman, you have less learnings and trainings in terms of leadership, in terms of getting career development, and also networking. Networking was historically really a male thing. So we try to avoid that and to create this group, this resource group, with to get feedback for women to meet. So we have workshops, we have conferences on different topics of also work-life balance, but career development. How do you also manage to negotiate your salary? So we have all those kind of workshops. And actually, we had Caroline who gratefully joined us, and on one of them, it's great, for 200 women to feel integration, to do some co-mentoring as well. It's a huge initiative. So having this kind of minority groups where you can leverage your employees and give them all the things that they couldn't get themselves, to be better, and to get more career advancements. It's a great way.
Thanks, Albane. Yeah, it's true that employee resource groups are a very good tool, and it's starting to be used in France. It was more used in the US until now, but I see there's a question for Pierre-Arnaud, and then I will ask a question to Julie and Caroline. But Pierre-Arnaud, you said you created guidelines to improve cultural sensitivity.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Actually, we put them in the playbook. We're on the verge of actually writing a manifesto. It's kind of like going to the gym. I mean, you have to comply. You know, it takes a while, right? It's constant effort. But if you don't set the goal, you might not actually reach it. So you have to go very humbly about it. But as soon as you write them down, right, and everyone agrees, of course, the founders, the employees, the managers, everyone, then you publish them, because once they're published, you just cannot go back. You know what we say about what goes in writing. And so thanks to that, you know, it gives you a red line that you just have to follow. So the best is to do that. I would say that whenever you want to create one, make sure, of course, it's visible, but also that you focus on making sure you stay benevolent, that you educate yourself. You also have to read a lot most of the time. And this way, before publishing them, you will know what you're talking about. And of course, always ask the people who will benefit from it what they're trying to get out of it, and if they agree. Because if it's a yes, then of course you did everything well, and there shouldn't be any problem. You should, thanks to that, make people want to be either your teammate or join you overall.
So it's going to be public.
Very simply. Sorry, go ahead.
It's going to be public, so everyone will be able to see it. Even candidates. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Cool, super cool. So it leads to, actually, it's a very good transition for my next question. For Julie and Caroline, like, do you guys have any advice for a candidate who wants to find a startup that is truly committed to diversity and inclusion? Like, if I wanted to apply to Platformsh, I will see these great guidelines of Pierre-Arnaud about cultural sensitivity, and that will be a very good sign. But like, are there on any other like tips that you guys will have for these candidates? Julie, do you want to start?
Yeah. I'm a kind of a stalker because I'm HR. I think I check everything before to apply. In fact, it's my first experience on the startup, so I didn't know about Singulart before to apply. So for me, it's mostly you have to check everything. And right now, we have all the tools. You can check with different websites, with a low website, everything about the company. You can check with LinkedIn, the LinkedIn profile of people who work on the company, because sometimes they said, oh, we have 50, but you can see only 20 people. So you can check that. How long they work on the company. They are all new because it's a new company, but when they are all new and it's not a new company, you can say, maybe have a lot of turnover. And when a company is involved for me on diversity, you will see that. You will see the partnership for 15 Tech. We can see that online on LinkedIn. You can see sometimes some impact report published, and you can see some numbers or some partnerships they created. You can read sometimes some article. Albane write some article on LinkedIn, and so you can have the spirit of her, and you can see, okay, I have a match with her, I have a match with the HR, and you can find a lot of information for me online, and you have to do that to check. And at the end, if you apply, if you have an interview with a talent acquisition, for me, it's really important to ask really precise question about the numbers of people on the company, women, diversity. If you have Pierre-Arnaud, you will have really an accurate question. It will be really precise about everything. And you can see if it's really real or not. It's my advice.
Thanks, Julie. And you, Caroline, do you have any other advice?
So I will present 50 Tech after, but first, that's exactly the purpose. So it's really highlighting you need to look at the diversity and inclusion policy. But first, perhaps you need to define your non-negotiable list. I want to say you want flexibility. We know that, for example, women are asking for more flexibility. You want a no harassment policy or zero tolerance policy. So look at what they are saying and then verify. So first is really this transparency that we're asking for companies, and we're really great to have you all on 15 Tech. But the purpose is really say what you are doing, and then for the woman, they need perhaps to verify, but look at what is the most important for you. Okay, what is really in your experience, and perhaps it's you are stuck in place and you want a place with a clear career path, with no bias, and you want to go to the C-level position. It was not possible before. So please look at that and look and check the diversity and inclusion policy. And then go to perhaps former and actual employee. It could be on 15 Tech, but LinkedIn is great for that too. So ask, people are open to answer questions, and you will see if they are not comfortable enough. Perhaps they will be, honestly, that's great on that point, perhaps not that one. And of course, in your look at your hiring process, I think it's not only your recruiters, but do we have diverse profile during the recruitment process? Do they have, after they told you about an employee resource group? I think it's super important to have one. And so all these, little things that you can really analyze, it's important. So of course you are in a position you want a job, but don't take it if you have like any job, because especially for women, we know that 1 in 2 is leaving tech due to toxicity and discrimination. So it's a serious topic. And so I think you need to be very careful and to look at that and to take that time to ask.
Thanks, Caroline. I think Albane had a story to share with us, an anecdote, like when she was a candidate before she joined back market. Do you want to share it with us?
Yes, I like this story because it's quite a picture of what you can have as a woman who dares to have a career and kids. And so when I was looking at a new job before back market, I was actually I just got birth from I just got a birth. Sorry, I don't know why I can't say it, but it was like 2 months after I gave birth to my daughter, and I had about 15 interviews with different startups or scale-ups, and I remember on these 15 interviews, 10 of them asked me if I was going to be 100% focused being a young mother. And I think that's it was very interesting for me to see that there was still this unconscious bias that was doing rigging, and especially at this level of management and of job, and I was always genuinely answering, well, would you have asked me that if I was a man? And it was still, I saw some interviewers understanding, that there was some biases here, but still wanted me to answer. Some were quite shocked that I was stating that it was a discriminative question, and none of them was back market. And that was really, for me, one of the main points why I joined the company. And I think that during interviews, that's where you see, also those biases. When you are conscious of them, you can feel really what's behind the nice speech of, yes, we love inclusivity, we love diversity. Is there in the action, in the effort that is made? You can really feel it during the interviews.
That's very true, and thank you, Albane, for sharing. And it actually also, it's a good transition to the last question, and to Caroline now. Like, how does 15 Tech work? Can you tell us more about the platform? And do you have an advice for women who would like to apply for a job in the tech ecosystem?
Yeah, so first of all, the aim of 15 Tech is to reach 50% of women in tech by 2050. So, and what we are doing at first, like the first action is to say, okay, we want to retain this pipeline. We have a tiny pipeline, 25% of women in tech. So we are gathering a community of, for now, 10,000 members across Europe and US, but mostly Europe, who are really wanting to be connected with peers and connected with inclusive company. So we have now over 40 companies on 15 Tech, and they are not perhaps all champion. We know that it's our topic, but they have good point really and good start to say that they will work on retention after. And so they are a good place to work for women. And so you have this company featuring all their GNI policies, their gender data, the role models that they have, and you can connect with employees, and you have these job opportunities. And as a woman, you can be open, active, or non-active. And for the open, active one, you can be coached by a talent coach. And so we are giving advice on salary negotiation, just to look at the number and to perhaps help them to go at a better level, to look at the resume and if they have good resume or not, but perhaps if they have like points that they want to highlight and don't know how to. And then we will push this profile. So it's quite new. So you will receive the first one on Monday. So we are pushing the profile, and people can also apply now for a direct job. And so the recommendation for the companies are really to go quickly and to really interact with these people, because you will know more about your recruiting process and perhaps the vision they have of your company. So it's a kind of marketplace, we'll see, with the inclusive companies, with talents. They can be active or not, and if they are not active, they can benefit, and for the employee of for the companies, from master classes. So we will do the next one with, for example, on clean architecture, and also boot camps that we did on negotiation, or for CTOs. It was like for software engineer, we did one called Wannabe CTO Bootcamp with amazing female CTOs in Europe. So we gather people and they can network together.
Okay, that's very cool. Thank you.
And the advice. The advice is like, don't wait to
register on 15 Tech.
Yeah, so of course. So if you're like awesome woman in tech, like woman in tech, really wanting to join an inclusive company, join us. Of course, sign up. It's free. Then my advice is like, don't wait to have like 100% of the skills on the resume. We are really advising to companies to do like not job description with tons of ask, because women in this case won't don't check the case and say, okay, I will not go because I'm like I feel that I will not at the right level for them. So, but for women, it's don't wait for that. Create perhaps a supported peers of network of peers who can really advise you, I think, and don't hesitate to ask also to actual employees. If you don't have them in the network, just ask, and ask exactly what would be the best part for you to apply in this company. What are perhaps the values, and perhaps try to exercise. So that's my advice. And be conscious that you are precious and rare. And so that don't mean that you ask for much more money than the others. That's not the purpose, but just tech need you. So don't hesitate to really to apply.
Thank you very much, Caroline. I think we have a few minutes left, and there are questions on the chat. So one question for you guys from Sergio: do you actively recruit people from outside of France? Why yes or why no? And what are the current challenges to attract international talent? So who wants to answer that question? Pierre-Arnaud, maybe, since you are actively recruiting people outside of France.
True. Well, the first thing is I don't think the company is that good at advertising. We've never been. It's never been some of our forte. I would say, luckily, even though we're not that well known, usually when people try the product for free, they realize it works better than most competitors. So that's one thing. And then second, so the quality speaks for itself. And second, when they read about the values online, stuff like Stack Overflow or elsewhere, they understand they're going to have a lot of ownership of flexibility and learn constantly, because we're working with basically any tech, right? And so thanks to that, they're like, oh my God, I'm going to learn more. So usually they apply, right? Sometimes we headhunt a few. And what happens is we're super transparent, like Albane was saying, about compensation. And so usually when we contact people, we're like, we don't underpay, we don't overpay, but you're going to be compensated based on how well you pass your test during your interviews, how your contribution as compared to your colleagues, and the country you're going to be living in. For example, we authorize people to change countries, but if they do, we will change their contracts. But if in the US they move to Greece, we'll bump them down, so it's fair to their colleagues and the Greek people, right, working in tech. They move to Philippines, we bump them down. They move back to the US, we bump them up. And thanks to that, usually when we contact people or advertise or say the way we work, people usually find it so fair that they apply more or recommend people if they don't make it. So I guess when you're hiring everywhere, it's not so much about, of course, the techniques, the way you speak, the way you present yourself, but it's about how transparent are you, how welcoming are you also, and do you answer questions truthfully? Do you offer clear possibilities to people? And would you say right away or not if it's a fit or not? Usually I say yes or no to people. This way they don't have to wait up, right? And so that is how we do. Of course, there are other ways.
Thanks a lot, Pierre-Arnaud. Another question is, I think, it's a very interesting question. How do I know if a company is ready to go international and recruit the first foreigners, since they might switch from a French-speaking company to English-speaking company? Who wants to answer that?
I can go if you want, but yes. For example, at Back Market, we said English is a no-brainer, but at some point, if you want, you have hired some people that are not at the level of English that you want to get for going international. So I think it should be easy, simple, basic. Every time someone wants to be trained on English, should have it. And then every communication, internal, external, everything should be in English. And that's where you see if a company is getting there. Also, as Julie was saying, if you want to know if a company is inclusive, also if you want to see if they have some international hires, look at the LinkedIn, the people part, and you have the list of people, and you can see where they're coming from. You can see what kind of profiles they have. Usually, what we do for international hires, because we have a lot. So, for example, every time we are opening a new country in our website, we need traffic managers, we need BD, business developers for the country. We need client services people. So every time it's opening a new search for international candidates, and we'd love to put people that are already in the company and that are international, that went for a relocation, for example, and that can say all the challenges they got, because there are some challenges. We all know that, and when you have in France, even if the company is very international, France is still very French, and not everyone is speaking English. So yeah, look into that, and I feel that it's quite fair, for candidates that to ask for example, meeting an international peer and say, hey, I'd like to know how they got here and what the challenges they faced and what is getting better as well. To have also this sense of is it as international as I want as I want it to be.
Yeah, that's very true. Like, I can give you also an example. In one of my latest recruitment process, there was one Italian candidate, and he was worried about us being an international company. So I asked someone in my team who is American and non-French speaking at all to be in touch with him and to have a call and to explain to him how it works. And like I know she's excited about being with us, and she had like a great onboarding, and like she came directly from the US, so it was like Italy, France it's closer than the US and France. So, and she explained to him how like great her onboarding was and how international the team was, and that really helped the candidate like to decide. So I think it's a very good tip. All right. Another question from Miriam. What would you advise to an almost 50-year-old woman who has all the skills, soft and hard, to integrate a startup, but who might be confronted to a biased perception? That's very true, Miriam. There's still a lot of discrimination against senior people in startups. It's very true. Maybe Caroline can answer that question.
I think ageism was of the second scourge of the tech industry. So perhaps Miriam, you can explain what kind of background do you have? It's what kind of so you can perhaps tell in the chat. So I truly believe that startups sometimes are not ready for that because this is a too young environment. But depending, I think when you need C-level people, you need experience. And so all of them need to value that. So my advice is perhaps not joining a startup with only 25 years people. It's not a good place. It's head of ops. Okay, in creative agencies, and okay, you train to. So operation is everything, I think, in startup. And if you have not someone really organized and can take care. So I don't know, perhaps Albane and Julie and Pierre-Arnaud, you can give I believe that ageism is a true problem, but I don't know if companies are really truly committed to that. Julie, you want to start?
Yeah, because I hired this week a team leader for the Japan market, and she has 43. And I think the age is not relevant. I think it was relevant. It was the experience she had. And because right now we are not a small startup with only 20 people, I need more people with different experience to help us to grow. And my young people, because I have a lot of young people on sales and everything, they want a lot of guidance, and they search that at Singulart, and they are really happy when we said, oh, we hire someone to be a manager or someone like that, and they said, oh, young? And I said no, and they are really happy because they want guidance, they want to grow, and they think, and I think, sometimes you need different experience of the company. And for me, it's not about age. It's what you saw during your personal experience. So I don't check the age because it's a combination.
If I can add something, like 43 is still very young.
Yeah, I am 43.
Yeah,
I am very young.
Like, by what you just said.
Yeah.
43
I'm 43.
is really young. Come on. It's young, and 45 is young too, and 50 is young too. I mean,
no, but because
it's like not young for startups, maybe, but it's still so young. Like, this one still had like 20 years to go before retirement. So come on.
No, but for me, it's not old. But people say to me, you have an average when it's 28. And only
just sorry guys, just bullshit. Like we have to educate them as HR. It's just not normal, I think. Like, even considering that 43 is okay, like we didn't consider her age. Like, of course she didn't. She's just 43. Come on, she's not a baby, okay? But she's young. She's super young. Like Albane and I, look, we're super young. Caroline, we're all super young women. I mean, even though like the startups will consider us like seniors, maybe in a few years, but like we have to fight against this because it's not true. Like it's not true. We'll be old maybe by 80, but like until we're like, no, you're not old. Like it's not about being young or old. It's just about like fighting this and actively fighting this with these startups. And I think we really have. Sorry, I'm getting a bit excited about all this, but I think it's something that I really care about. we have to fight this as HR. Like, come on, it's not about age. Like, don't even mention the age. It's not an issue at all. Like, I don't want to hear about this. It's not an issue. And I really believe, and I hope that we had this generation of startups, this first generation of startups, very young founders, but now we like very young. Like, I mean, barely had their degree. But now, like, we're having a new generation of founders, like between 40 and 50, and I really hope that these people will start to consider that, not only babies, because it's not, like under 30, it's not young people, it's babies for me. Not only babies can be candidates in startups, because they don't know nothing. They just don't know nothing, just learning, and we have the experience, and we know the business, and we have like skills to bring to companies, and we're still young. Like, we're young. Like a 43 woman will not be a good candidate for a C-level position in a big corporate group, because she will be too young.
Exactly.
So that's the reality. Sorry about this, but it's very important.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
And happy
It's all
birthday.
right. I used to be.
I just turned 40.
Oh, yeah,
Thank you,
happy birthday.
people.
I'm good.
Very nice. Very nice.
I just turned 40, and I'm still young, like a young 40 woman. Like, it's awful, because like when you turn 40, like, people are like, "Oh no, you don't look 40." Like, what do you mean? Like, I'm a young woman? That's what you mean? I don't look like I'm 40? Yes, I do look like I'm 40. I'm a beautiful 40-year-old woman, and I'm here and I work with you. Like, I'm not a mummy, but Caroline is laughing.
No, because I got 43. I certainly laugh because I got 43 like 2 days ago. So I'm like just laughing because I'm a dinosaur.
40.
I don't feel so. But for Miriam, I think the advice is like, there's many startups super young. Yeah. Don't go there, because you will like feel like they don't know even about someone with a baby. So the disconnection would be total. But the advice is to look at perhaps the age of the founder, C-level of the company, and then applying. I truly believe that there is sometimes founders really need like CEO people with an experience and really with the will to go to this industry. And just if you've never been in startup, perhaps it's quite a different environment, and to be just aware about how it works. It's not totally well structured, so you will have a lot to do.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's very true. Like, in my startup, the founders are about my age, and the perception is very different. And it's a much more mature culture. And I think like it's better. Like, you fit better with the culture with maybe like founders of your age. Like, they don't have these biases. Like, maybe not all of them, at least. Well, I see that time has passed, and it's time to say goodbye. So I want to thank everyone on stage. Thank you so much. And I think we can have the clap for everyone. And I hope everyone enjoyed enjoyed the chat today. Thank you, and have a great end of Friday, and have a great weekend.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.